Georgetown 911, where's your emergency? Hello? Hello?
All I wanted her to do was tell the police what she told me.
She places him, by that statement that she gave to police, in a drug connection.
My personal opinion has been all along that he owed a lot of money to the wrong people and that his murder was a message.
Usually what's done in the dark come to the light. So that's what I'm holding out on.
Living with Lorenzo, you have to learn how to not automatically be offended by somebody. You have to learn how to assess what's being said. And in Lorenzo's death, in that case, through my research, the wife or the husband or the significant other, they're always the one that they want to find answers from first.
Did you have any part in Lorenzo's murder?
According to Shara, Lorenzo's deceit, abuse, and infidelity were threads in their marriage. After 6 kids and 13 years together, the Wrights divorced in February of 2010. Although he moved to Atlanta, Wright still made frequent trips back to Memphis to see both Shara and the kids. He arrived for his final visit on July 18th, just hours before he was murdered. When police learned that Shara was the last known person to see him, they attempted to question her. Initially, she remained quiet behind a lawyer, but after 9 days, she spoke to authorities on the phone.
There's the statements of his ex-wife, Shara, who told police, it's in the police affidavit that they used to search her home after his body was found, that Lorenzo was here at my house, a couple hours before he disappeared, and he had a box of drugs with him and a large sum of money. He was talking over that time that he was there on a track phone. He then left with somebody she didn't know, and that was the last anyone ever saw of him.
Georgetown 911, where's your emergency? Hello? 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 I have nothing but gunshots.
Due to a technical issue with the dispatch office, police weren't provided that 911 call until 9 days into their investigation. That's around the same time Shara explained the details of that night. Details that, according to authorities, changed since her initial statement.
I couldn't give you an exact time, but it was over into the evening. And I don't know who he left with because I was half asleep. There was no box of drugs. And if there was, then I had no knowledge of that. That was insinuated and that was created for, I guess, certain purposes. But box of drugs did not come out of Shara Wright's mouth then, and it won't come out now.
In some corners, Shara's reluctance to talk to police and her changing statements have led to more questions than answers.
You always have kind of amateur investigators out there who, why aren't they looking at his wife? She's an obvious suspect. I know that they question his wife extensively in this thing.
That is still part of the pending investigation with the open file that we have. And I'm not able to comment on anything that we're doing in reference to that investigation.
And then there was this. Neighbors say that they told police they saw Shara using her fire pit with an unknown man on a 95-degree summer afternoon only days after Wright disappeared. Police eventually searched the house they left with burnt metal from her fire pit. Shara's attorney at the time also claimed that in the weeks prior to Lorenzen's murder, Shara was approached by hitmen asking of Wright's whereabouts.
I don't remember what their attire exactly was, but the information about that was given to the police for their investigation, which is still an open investigation, so you do understand that we can't discuss that.
Then there's Wendy Wilson, who claims that she was Wright's assistant. Wilson asserts that in 2003, she received multiple voicemails from Shara threatening Lorenzen's life if she caught him cheating.
I went to Memphis Police because it concerned them at the time to say make a report. Her conversation was all over the place, but at the same time, there were underlying threats.
Wilson claims that she turned the voicemails over to police back then, but she doesn't currently have copies.
I felt that she was capable of acting on threats that she made on several occasions. If someone said something once or twice, you just figure, oh, it's just an anger. They'll make up, they'll get over it. But it just got from bad to worse.
She was affiliated or associated with a radio station. I talked to her a couple of times. She identified herself as his personal assistant, and she never personally assisted him or I with anything.
Well, I worked for him, and I have proof that I worked for him. I have checks. I've submitted that to the authorities and police.
And then there was money. Wright struggled financially in his final year, jobless, with mounting child support and foreclosed homes. But 5 months before his death, Wright took out a $1 million life insurance policy during the divorce. It was part of a permanent parenting plan for his 6 kids. And on July 1st, 2011, Wright's kids were set to inherit the $1 million.
As I recall, in somewhere in the time frame of about 10 months, she spent almost all of that $1 million. There are indications of frivolous spending. There were, some luxury cars bought. There was a very expensive trip to New York for a couple of days. But then, too, she bought a house and did some renovation to the tune of something like $350,000.
How I take care of my children, that's nobody's business but mine and Lorenzen, and he had it outlined how he wanted them to be taken care of, and that's what I've done.
Unsolved murders are hardly uncommon. According to the FBI, the national clearance rate is roughly 64%. But a victim of this stature within these circumstances is what makes this case so striking. The when and where are clear. It's the who and why that seem to be a long way from being established.
We've had leads as far as up to 2015, up to this year, that we're pursuing. My goal is before I leave the Memphis Police Department, I want to see Deborah Marion get some closure. And the only way she's going to get some closure is for us to find out who killed her son.
Barring someone talking for whatever reason, deathbed confession, whatever it might be, I don't think any physical evidence is going to come forth that's going to solve this case.
Until this investigation, Shara had remained largely quiet about Wright's death. Information had been limited to a police affidavit and a couple of local interviews. She admits being aware of the rumors and gossip that rocket around Memphis. Still, her public comments haven't always extinguished speculation.
Did you have any part in Lorenzen's murder?
At first, I'm a wife, then I'm a mother, and then thirdly, I'm an author. The law enforcement should do what's best to find out who's the killer.
And you understand, obviously, why I had to ask that.
I do, but I'm a wife, a mother, and an author. I let people do what they're good at doing, and I'm just gonna do what I'm good at doing. They need to spend time and focus and find out what happened to him. We all need to know.
Shara has since remarried, recently moved to Houston, become a minister, and wrote a self-help novel for abused women, based loosely on her marriage to a basketball star. Meanwhile, back in Memphis, Lorenzo and Wright's parents still struggle, each in their own way.
I have a 6'10" poster on my wall. I see him every morning when I pass by. He will always be that age, look just like that, in our mind and hearts.
I see if they come, the good Lord gonna tell me to just let them do what they gotta do. I see him put me in slow motion to let somebody else take the driver's seat, but I'm gonna be on the back seat close as I can be. Cause it ain't over. But one of these days, hopefully before I die, they gonna get him.